Building a resilient marriage can be a challenge even under normal circumstances. Abby, I'm wondering whether you can give us some tips, some guidelines during these unusual circumstances of Corona time. What are ways in which we can fortify our marriages and make them able to withstand whatever craziness Hashem sends our way?
For sure, for sure. Let's talk about relationship development. Like, as you mentioned, is significant at any point, but specifically now in this very unique time. Many experts in this field are offering that that couples kind of hold on tight and maintain status quo. And as you've heard me in other conversations, I do believe that there is much value to maintaining status quo, both in sexuality and potentially also in the emotional area of the relationship. I would add to that that as much as status quo is great and potentially also safe, okay, I would be remiss in not to mention that this unique time is unique in that it's something new that the couple is experiencing together. Albeit there might be different experiences, we are going through this as a marital unit, as a family. And so it could potentially be an opportunity for relationship development, for relationship growth. And so possibly you might want to find a new hobby to share together. One thing that John Gottman speaks about in his Relationship Soundhouse is building love maps. Now that might be something that sounds, trite, but couples who have never had a chance to do it, never have a chance to kind of connect over the small details and to build a strong foundation of the relationship. And I think that it's an opportunity to develop new ways of communicating. I think what is also possible is just to ignore all of this, creative stuff and just watch a good TV show together. Finally decide that, oh, Netflix put out a good series. Let's be minded to watch it together. That means end our day at the same time, get into our bed or wherever we like to watch TV, and both of us at the same time together engage in that. And I guess the key word here, Tara, and that I really think is important is that the couple is spending time together. And it doesn't matter so much exactly what they're doing and if they're actively engaged and in what way. It's just that there is together time for the couple to reconnect. Again, date night might look like, taking a walk out to the garbage together. That's like, an 8-minute date night.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. But again, a time to reconnect and hopefully talk about something that isn't Corona related. I think that a very significant piece in all of this is the potential, monotony and the potential repetitiveness of our days. But I'm going to talk about that more in a minute.
So I'm thinking a lot about the different unexpected possibilities that couples are going through now. I mean, there's so much job loss, which impacts self-confidence in such a serious way. So much concern over the financial security for the future, the physical, the health security for the future. I'm thinking about all the couples who were about to start therapy, or maybe they were in therapy, but it's not financially viable right now. So they either have to stop whatever therapy they're in, or they're putting on hold the possibility of getting support from the outside to strengthen their marriages. I'm thinking about the household responsibilities. You have people who are in home, and maybe they normally have someone from the outside who comes in and helps them, and they either legally that's not allowed, or financially it's not a possibility anymore. And I'm thinking about the ways in which all of that really is pounding at the resilience of a marriage. And I'm wondering, in addition, what other tips, what do you have for us? How can you help us? How can you help us strengthen at this crazy time?
I think those are really, really important questions. I think one of the most important things I can offer is the idea of creating and maintaining some level of positivity. Now, I'm not saying this lightly. I don't think this is easy. I'm not talking about, walking around with like a goofy grin on your face and everything's okay, it's all good. No, that's definitely not what I'm talking about. And I think it's important to recognize that things aren't okay and it's not all good, okay? But I think that it's also a choice of how much are we going to actually let it bring us down And I'm not speaking here about potential mental health challenges, which is a different conversation. And again, we can have that at another time privately. But I am speaking about, in general, how the couple manages maintaining positivity in light of all of these challenges. And so I would say, be sure to have your personal space and time, okay? If you need time away from the kids, you go to your bedroom. If your bedroom is not sacred space enough, make your way to the bathroom. Lock yourself in there for 10 minutes. One of my friends sent me a picture of herself under her covers. She just needed to hide for a few minutes, okay? And she needed to do that to recharge, okay? It's okay. Check in with yourself. Be honest with what's going on for you. Perhaps practice some breathing exercises. And again, I could recommend those. There's excellent things available online in terms of breathing exercises. Some stretches, take a short walk, maybe have a good read, maybe have a good watch, meaning choose a series that isn't something that you're gonna watch with your spouse, just something that you want to laugh out loud by yourself. Not every partnership shares the same sense of humor. I'll speak for us, we definitely don't. And it's always a challenge to find something to watch, but I have my things that I like to watch. And that doesn't need to include my partner. Notice your mood. I think this is really, really significant, okay? If you're upset, bothered, irritated, excuse yourself from the situation until you're able to regain composure, okay? Because all of the topics, Tara, that you mentioned are so charged and potentially so impacting on a personal level, like job loss and financial security, and how it might affect either partner's self-confidence, ability to be productive and to be, you know, a provider in the family unit. So it's very delicate, and we have to be careful with each other. We have to be mindful of each other. We have to be sensitive to each other. And that entails being very aware, first of all, of what's going on for you, and to not let it rip and to not let it all come out when you're feeling mutzaf, when you're feeling overloaded or overwhelmed. And so most things that go on within the couple entails the individual checking in with themselves and taking care of themselves first, okay? And then we can think about how to come together as a couple. And I'll just say here that it could be significant here to create positive mantras, self-talk. You're strong, you're doing this, you're a warrior. And those are messages to the individual. And the next level of that would be creating mantras with your spouse. And maybe this, you know, could be a date night activity, or maybe it could be just a time that we sit together and talk that what are we accomplishing together as a couple? What are the strengths of this marriage? And I think this, again, is an exercise that I think is important any day of the month, 365 days a year in a regular time, and specifically Dafka now during Corona time. What are the strengths of our marriage? How can we highlight those strengths? How can we point out to each other what we see as each other's individual strengths? Okay, and that might be via text messages, that might be via post-it notes. If a couple decides they want to do this over a week long, you know, and each couple chooses 3 days, each part of the couple chooses 3 days, and they switch off doing this, and kind of build each other up with positivity. Okay, and again, I'm not living in la la land. I'm not saying you're going to say everything is positive. That's not what I'm implying. I'm understanding that there's challenges. I'm understanding that there's weaknesses. I'm understanding that there's negativity, but I am speaking to the idea of resilience and how do we pull forward our resilient nature. Human beings are resilient. We survive. We do it. Okay, and so we have to pull on that, and it's not easy. But it does take effort. And again, it starts with the self-care, the individual self-care for each part of the couple. And then it comes to the couple being able to sit with each other and give that to each other and continue to feed it and continue to nourish it. And so I think that when we are hard on ourselves, we end up being hard on our spouse. And so we practice self-care. God willing, we're also practicing care for our spouse. And the last thing that I want to focus on a little bit is the idea of gratitude and how significant it is to recognize the large and small things that we do for each other on a daily basis. So we're talking about positivity, we're talking about recognizing strengths in individuals and as a couple, and then we're talking about gratitude. We're talking about being able to say thank you, whether it's verbally, whether it's with an eye connection, whether it's written form. I would encourage this act as much as possible, not as much as possible, but often enough, at least 50-50, to be done in front of children, both young children and adult children that might be found at home, even adult parents that might be living with you, is to be able to verbalize gratitude for the large and small things that are happening in the home. It builds, it nourishes, and it only adds positivity.
Abby, I just want to thank you because that was very strengthening for me. So thank you so very much for sharing this wisdom. It all goes back to Im Eina Nili Mili. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? We have to start from ourselves, and then we're going to have the resilience to be able to pour out that gratitude on others. Thank you so much. Join us next time as we discuss knowing your zone and determining your emotional bandwidth.